I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in entertainment, media, sports, entrepreneurship, and so much more. Nick Durst here, along with Joe Calabrese and Joe. We are very excited to welcome our guest back to the program today.
That's right. Another two-timer, one of the most well-known reality TV stars that we've had on the show. And a lot has changed since the last time we spoke to him. Most importantly, he's opened up a new business. So we'll get to talk to him about that. We're very, very happy to have him on. He looks sharp and as handsome as ever. We welcome Carl Radke back to the show. Carl, how you doing today, pal?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me back. Appreciate you
Carl,
guys.
welcome back. We know you're very busy these days. I'm curious, when you're waking up in the morning, what's the first app you're checking on your phone?
I'm gonna be really honest. It's my email or my iMessages app.
Yeah.
But not long after that, I use the Calm app. It's a meditation app.
I
So
like
I,
that.
I usually start that, and then that kind of gets me out of bed. I listen to, the meditation, and then start my day.
That's great. Now, I would think everybody's first thing would be the messages, but some people go straight to social media. I don't know how you could ignore your messages, but I like the meditation, Joe. That's a good way to start the day.
That's up my
Easy, but
alley.
that's
Yeah,
up
we
your
there's
alley.
always great synergy. The very like when we did this the first time, a lot of that spiritual stuff, right? The meditative stuff, like that stuff that's right up my alley. So definitely got to link up, hopefully in person in time. And again, I know your schedule is incredibly, incredibly busy, but that's something that I'm really into. I feel like we could have a good conversation about that.
So, Carl,
Cool.
obviously with you, fitness, exercise, it's become a big part of your life. It seems like you're always on the run now, always moving. How have you gotten into running over the years? How much have you built up? I mean, we have seen you run on the show before. Season one did the 5K for Everett, maybe gasp for air towards the end. But I think now you could probably run a 5K, roll out of bed and do that. But how has fitness and exercising and running really been part of your journey here?
Yeah, I mean I've always been I played sports as a kid. I was always very competitive. I played high school sports. Even in college was part of some teams. I played volleyball and I was also part of the practice squad and playing some basketball. I played with the women's team on the practice squad because they had a men's group that would practice against the women. But in New York City, I mean, I was always very active, even when I did drink and did lots of hard drugs. So nothing's really changed on that front other than I don't drink or do hard drugs anymore. But, you know, in my kind of recovery and just sobriety, I have leaned in on, my wellness and just activity and moving my body. I started getting into the running thing probably more so last year, but, I would run 5Ks. I would do, different events and stuff. I'd go to Barry's, all that. But since last year, I really caught kind of the running bug and I just mentally I get kind of I mean, a lot of people talk about this, but the runner's high.
Yeah.
And I get this kind of amazing feeling after, even a 3 or 4 mile run. So yeah, I've been just leaning in on the running thing. It's been personally for me just really helpful for my mental health. And yeah, like that's just for me, that's how I kind of stack my days to try and, keep my brain stimulated in some ways or not stimulated. Because when you're running, you're thinking about a lot of stuff, but you can kind of meditate through stuff and think about things. And you also are thinking about, breathing and not getting hit by a taxi cab or something in New York. But yeah,
Be
it's
careful
the
out there in
running
the
is,
streets of Manhattan.
yeah, the streets are a little gnarly sometimes, but yeah, it's health and wellness has always been a big part of my life. But, prior to like getting sober, it was more about health and wellness, partying, women chasing
Yeah.
things that were healthy for me overall. But yeah, I think anybody that is kind of leaning in their recovery, I would hope that running is also another part of things that kind of help their day. So yeah.
Do you ever miss not living in Manhattan?
I mean, I've lived in Manhattan almost 12 years now,
Yeah.
so I I don't envision myself living somewhere else. I mean, sure, I miss elements of my hometown of Pittsburgh. I miss some of the food. But we have great food in New York. But I miss my family a little bit. Other than that, I went to school in upstate New York at Syracuse University. So, New York was always on the horizon. I
Yeah.
always wanted to try and be in this area. And yeah, so no, I guess I really haven't thought about it, but I did live in LA for a period of time after I graduated from Syracuse. Do I miss living out there? Occasionally, I miss the weather or just some of the lifestyle. It's a little bit different out there. I mean, you could argue it's maybe a little bit healthier lifestyle, but I feel
Yeah,
like New York is,
a little more laid
Just a
back.
little bit.
yeah, but New York's kind of making some ground, I think,
Yeah.
in
You
kind of the
like
health and
Carl likes
wellness.
the hustle and bustle of the Big Apple, and you
Well, I
could see
like,
you could see your face lit up when I mentioned that because you're a New Yorker now. You consider yourself a New Yorker, or you're a Pittsburgh guy still.
I'm a Pittsburgh, never going to take that from me, but I am a New Yorker now. I love the energy of New York, and I like surrounding myself with people that are, go-getters. They want to achieve things, and New York has a lot of people that, I don't know, there's a similar energy of people really wanting to work hard, build businesses or build careers and do creative, interesting things. I've met a lot of amazing people. I want to surround myself with the best piece of people possible.
Yeah.
And New York, I think, has a layer of just like it pushes you and the hustle of it and the speed, the energy is something that I like. It kind of pushes you more. If I were to live in a city that was a lot more slower paced or really quiet, I don't know if that would be healthy for me right now. It's just I'm in a different place in my life. But if once I get married and have children, sure, that may be something more, on the table. But right now, I'm just focused on I love New York. I'm here, and no changes in plans yet. So
Well, while you're here, we're going to have to take advantage of you. But Pittsburgh for a moment, because I used to work with somebody who I'm still relatively close with. We speak maybe 2 or 3 times a month. He's from Pittsburgh. What are your best food spots? If we're going, like, let's say Nick, who's a Mets fan, or me as a Jets fan, right? Let's say we're taking a Pittsburgh trip, which is
yeah.
something we'd like to do in the next couple of years. A lot of really great old school Italian places I know are there. But what would be your recommendation?
Yeah, I mean, my number one recommendation, I think, well, twofold. Pizza in Pittsburgh is amazing. I know New York City has great pizza. Jersey has great pizza. Connecticut has great pizza. But Pittsburgh has a place called Fiore's that is one of my favorites. It's got a sauce that's a little bit sweeter and a little bit different than you're used to in a typical pizza, which is why I love it so much. But Fiore's is one I would recommend fully for anybody. I mean, anybody who's from Pittsburgh listening to this, hopefully is going to go, okay, Carl knows what he's talking about. Um, there are some other great pizza shops, but that was the one I grew up going to. And then I'd say Permanti Brothers is really what Pittsburgh is kind of known for.
Yeah.
It's, really thick Italian bread with, either like a capicola or, another kind of Italian meat, or it could be like a turkey, but then you have lettuce, tomato, coleslaw, French fries,
Wow.
then another, 2-inch piece of Italian bread. And it's this massive sandwich that, yes, it looks like great drunk food, but since I've gotten sober and even when I was younger, I ate Permetti Brothers sober.
Sounds
It's
good.
a really just big, tasty, lot of flavor sandwich. Those two, but my third, if you're going to do breakfast, a lot of people in Pittsburgh love this. It's a diner called Eaton Park. Shout out to Eaton Park, but I prefer another local place called Pamela's. And Pamela's is a really cool diner. They have one near the University of Pittsburgh, and there's one in the South Hills where I'm from. But it's a really good diner. They have these amazing thin crepe style pancakes that have
Oh,
like a crispy edge. It's very thin pancake. It's very different than like your fluffy.
yeah.
But it was good enough for when Obama years ago was in town for stuff. He went there, I believe, with Michelle, and they had breakfast, and the whole town of Pittsburgh was freaking out that he was at Pamela's. Uh, so it was, yeah, Pamela's is probably the most notable diner that I like. Other than that, let me think about one other thing. One of my other favorites is called Fat Heads. It's in South Side of Pittsburgh. It's a burgers, wings,
Okay.
they have all sorts of crazy beers on tap and stuff. But, for food, it's one of, I think, the best food. Bar food is, a big thing in Pittsburgh, and this, I think, has the best bar food. So,
Well, Joe,
So you got a couple of good recommendations.
I saw you take a note, Joe. So I think you're
I
gonna be the
do.
heart of the guy.
Got a couple Italian places, a deli style
That
place. The
sandwich
Matthew
sounds
Brothers is
great.
very, right,
there's a
very
really good
popular.
Italian spot. I'm drawing a blank on the name. If you guys follow up after, I'll find it. But It's on Mount Washington. Pittsburgh's a unique landscape. It's kind of this three rivers city, but right next to the city is this huge mountain that kind of covers the city from the south. So when you're coming in from the south into Pittsburgh, it's actually the saying is it's the only city in the world with an entrance. And there's a pretty iconic scene in the movie Perks of Being a Wallflower with Emma
Okay.
Watson
Yeah.
where they're driving from the South Hills. That
Good
movie was
scene.
actually filmed at my high school, and it was written and directed by a man that went to my high school,
Wow.
Stephen Chbosky, who's actually a family friend. But everybody knows in Pittsburgh, when you're coming from the South Hills going to the city of Pittsburgh, you go through this tunnel. Like you don't see anything. Like you just see this big mountain and trees and houses, and all of a sudden you go through the tunnel, and as you get out of the tunnel, all of a sudden
Mhm.
it's
It's awesome.
Pittsburgh. So it's a
Yeah.
really cool kind of reveal to the city. So
Yeah.
um, I highly recommend anybody driving from the south to take the Fort Pitt Tunnel, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
So, Carl, we know you're a big sports fan. Would you say the Pirates have the nicest stadium?
I mean, I'm a realist. I'm very proud of PNC Park. I would argue it's probably top three.
Okay.
I've been to Wrigley. I think Wrigley, you can't argue against
Amazing.
Wrigley. I've been to Fenway. Those are really cool old school parks.
Yeah.
Then I'd say the other cool, amazing park that's new is the it's changed names, but it's in San Francisco where the Giants
Yeah.
play
Yeah.
Pac
Oracle
Bell and
Park now, right? Yeah.
AT&T.
Yeah,
Now
the
it's
Giants and the
Oracle.
Pirates are always 1-2 on the list. Again, the same friend who I mentioned before, every year on opening day, he doesn't even sit down close. He sits all the way up just so he can get like the scenery. He takes the same picture and he sends me the same picture every day on opening day.
You got to get to those
It's
bridges.
yeah,
Yeah.
Pittsburgh and San Francisco. I mean, those are two beautiful ballparks. I really think they did a great job, kind of like in the because they used to play at Candlestick Park, which was
Yeah.
also a football
Football
field, which is
field.
how Steelers were with Three Rivers. They shared it with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But these baseball only fields, they really took it to account like the water nearby. Like ours is right on the river with the city backdrop. San Francisco is like the bay's right there. It's
Yeah.
in a great part of town. So yeah, I love PNC. It's been the team that's been playing on the field has had some ups and downs, but pretty sure we have the best player in baseball. You know, Paul
Paul
Skeens
Skeens.
probably going to win the Cy Young Award or should.
He'll be
Uh,
a future Yankee,
yeah, I
unfortunately.
know.
The other
Well,
side. Yeah.
just like every other great pitcher we've had, like Garrett Cole or some of these other guys we can't afford to pay, but the Yankees got the big bucks.
All right. So let's get back on track here. When it comes to your mental health, now as a huge advocate, you're both you're active when you run and you're exercising, and then when you have downtime, right? You do all the meditative stuff. You have time to yourself, right? What is I guess your best piece of advice or something that you would like to tell somebody who's kind of experiencing maybe not something similar to what you have, because we know your history, but other best ways to cope with the mental health and the way to kind of really get yourself started if you're kind of lacking the motivation to get started.
Yeah, I mean, I think the easiest way to say it is, I mean, a lot of people go to the gym to get stronger or get more healthy or fit. You got to do the same for your brain and your mind. People will pay $50 a month to join, 24-hour fitness or crunch fitness or whatever it might be. Think about what you're doing for your brain and your mental health. And I look at it in a similar way. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to be fucked up or have problems, but I think any healthy or unhealthy individual would benefit from having someone to talk to every other week or every week, especially for men. I think it's important we have outlets and we have safe conversations to vent. A lot of men hold things down and suppress their emotions, but what happens is they lash out in bigger ways because it's been held on to and resentments build. So for me, I think anybody that just wants to feel a little bit more in touch with their self and wanting to kind of maybe talk through some things that are harder to talk about with your loved ones or your partner or your wife or whoever. So yeah, I mean, I look at it like going to the gym and hiring a personal trainer. You're just doing the same thing for your brain. And for me personally, my experience with therapy has been it's changed my life when I started being honest with the therapist. We've all been to the doctor at the end of August or early September for your yearly physical, and the doctor says to you, "Hey, Carl, do you smoke or do you drink?" And no, I don't. But before, when I wasn't sober, I would still say no.
Mhm.
How many drinks a week are you having? I'd say, oh yeah, like three or four. Like I had three or four to start the day, at times in my life, and I was having 20 drinks in a night. So of course I'm not going to tell the doctor that. But if you're really honest with your therapist and your doctors and you just start really being authentic, I think you'll get more out of that versus going to a therapist every week and kind of not being fully transparent. So for me, it's been since I really got my shit together and realized that I'm paying money for this service, I should be really honest with that person. So my therapy experience has been really, really helpful because of that.
Very good tidbit over there. Always be honest regarding whatever you're doing. Let's talk about fun stuff. Let's talk about soft bar. Uh, how did that come together? What inspired you? And Nick and I, we have a common friend who's also got a business, very similar restaurant bar set up in the Williamsburg over there. So, Williamsburg area over there. So, it's nice and quaint and it's quiet down there, right along the East River. So, talk to us about how that happened.
Yeah, I started back in 2018. I was involved with starting an alcohol company called Loverboy. We started that project in 2018 and we brought that brand to market in 2019. So I was involved as an investor and then was the VP of sales. This is an alcohol brand and an alcohol product, but I realized in January of 2021, well, even prior to that, but I'm an alcoholic, I'm a drug addict, and I needed to get help. But I was the VP of sales for an alcohol company. So it was a confusing, kind of difficult time. But once I was really honest and open, working in the alcohol industry, you see a lot of things differently when you're not drinking alcohol, when you work in the alcohol industry. So I saw a lot of opportunity not only in the beverage options. Yes, we've all seen non-alcoholic beer, you all see mocktails, but the availability of those options and then the actual health and wellness of those options. There's a lot of sugary, unhealthy non-alcoholic beverage options, which just because I'm not drinking doesn't mean I just want more sugar or I want more calories from something else. I also saw an opportunity. There's a lack of places where non-alcoholic beverages come to life. So I've been in the alcohol industry for 6 years and not drinking alcohol because I got sober. So all of those different things were pretty important to like my destination of getting to soft bar, which, I set out almost 2 years ago. I had an experience. I was shopping at a store in Williamsburg. The store has since closed, but it was a 1,000 square foot storefront, little retail store that looks like a wine store. But every product in that store is non-alcoholic products. It's like a bodega or convenience store. Like no, you don't go to 7-Eleven and like buy your drink and sit down there, right? So it's that, but for non-alc. It's a convenience store for non-alc. But my whole thing was like, this is nice, but this isn't it. This isn't like it. There's more here.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to do is somewhere where you could actually enjoy the drink, learn about them, sit down, spread out, be with other friends, have a community, and have an experience attached to it versus just walking in, buying a 6 pack of non-alc beer, putting it in a bag, and walking out. Because you still have to like go drink it somewhere. And my argument is no one really wants to drink NA by themselves at home if they don't really have to.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how I got to where my idea for soft bar was something I started thinking about a couple years ago. But over the last, year and a half, 2 years, I've been working with a team and raising money and building this company kind of from the ground up. So we launched over a year ago as a mobile pop-up, getting our drinks in people's hands, throwing events, partnering with different wellness, fitness, mental health, all sorts of different groups. And then my end all be all goal was to open our actual location, which we just opened last or 2 weeks ago
Yeah.
in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. So I have a
So
bar and cafe that we serve premium coffee, matcha, and then also alternative morning beverages. I don't drink coffee. I raise my hand because people are like,
I do.
I don't drink
well,
coffee either. Never had it in my life.
coffee makes me
I
more
drink a lot
anxious.
of coffee.
Yeah, I'm not sitting here to say coffee's bad. It's just for me personally, I don't drink it because I don't like the way it makes me feel. So if you're there's a lot of people out there that love alternative options like matcha or green tea or cacao or variety of other alternatives that are available, but they're pretty much only available on the internet and
Yeah,
shipped to your door.
right.
So if you don't drink coffee and you don't drink alcohol in New York City, it's
This is
water and soda water for you. So I don't think that that makes any sense when you can walk into the bodega that's right next door to that place and you can buy anything you want, no regulations, a 10 milligram THC drink, a functional drink, a non-alc beer. You can have it all at a bodega,
mm,
but you want to sit down somewhere and connect with other individuals. It's
yeah,
like, oh, sorry, wait, what? We only do alcohol here. So
right.
there's a lot of nuance to the industry, but like I said, I work in the alcohol industry, so that's how I got, front row seats to something that I thought, well, not only I think we need, but I personally want. I don't see what I built out there. And I've traveled all over the US. I've asked questions. There are things like this, but no one's doing really what we're doing in that I'm combining coffee and the non-alc culture. And I've created a more of an experience and a third space in a community. But we're leading with brand. I wanted an umbrella for all of this non-alc stuff. So soft bar was kind of my ubiquitous four-letter word to embrace the non-alc experience. So to me, soft bar is where you go to drink the best non-alc.
So you obviously have quite the background career-wise. You were in production, then you're doing sales, alcohol. So what was it like, to put on your real estate and construction hat here to find the space and then go through the major transformation to get it ready?
Yeah, I mean, when you're very passionate about something and you really believe in something, you obviously wear a lot of hats, but the one thing I've learned is, I don't know everything and I'm not going to pretend to know everything. And I think from some leaders that I've been around, the best leaders, find the right talent or that they attract the right talent, but then they let those talent do what they do best. I don't micromanage. I don't breathe down people's necks. But I've allowed really professional people to kind of help do things that's what they've been doing. So yeah, I mean, I'm also just I paid attention a lot to different real estate opportunities but partnering with the right brands and the right companies is how I've been able to pull this off. I have a really good team of executives and general manager type people that have been in the hospitality, bar, and restaurant industry I mean, the combined experience between a lot of my team is over 100 years of bar and restaurant, not only running it and or managing it, but working behind the bar or pouring drinks or all that. So I'm not the one behind the bar making drinks. I'm not saying that's below or above me. It's just I have experienced actual barista bartenders who they love creating drinks and they love what we're building. So, the construction side of things, I partnered with a really good design and fabrication firm. And before we even signed the lease on the space that we found, it was important for me to find a space that was low rent or affordable because what happens, especially in New York City, is there's plenty of restaurants that we love, that we eat at all the time, and they close. It's not because the French onion soup was bad. It was because the lease and the
Yeah.
terms that they're under become unmanageable. And that's kind of the name of the game in a lot of places in New York. And I didn't want that to be the fate for us. I looked at plenty of options of spots that were former coffee shops, former bars. We could have slapped a new logo up, painted the sign, but it would have been the same exact kind of look and feel of that other bar. And the rent was going to be anywhere from $30,000 a month to $50,000 a month. So what I was looking for was something that we could build, but it also had kind of the nuts and bolts and the foundation of what would be, I think, a cool experience. So I actually discovered a really unique industrial space in Greenpoint that's right next to Williamsburg. And it's on a street with other really industrial buildings, but a lot of them have been flipped or turned into really cool, either restaurants, hospitality, or even wellness. I'm on Banker Street and Wythe Avenue, and Wythe Avenue is kind of the heart line between Williamsburg. So in that neighborhood, there's a huge rock climbing gym. It's called Vital, Vital. Vital has a gym, a co-working space, rock climbing gym. They have all sorts of different activities, but in this neighborhood, there's other run clubs, there's bathhouse, there's Othership, and Othership is like a sauna cold plunge concept. there's acupuncture, there's tons of health and wellness happening in this neighborhood. So I felt like it was the right kind of positioning for us. But we found a rent that was very, it was more affordable, but we did have to build it out. But I partnered with a local Greenpoint company to help with my design because I wanted to honor what's happening locally with the industrial components, but add in this kind of high design, thoughtful kind of, bar and cafe setup. So that's what we landed on.
Very nice. So I know you leaned on your team and their experience, but what was it like for you during the process where the menu, both food and drink, was being curated?
Yeah, I mean, I again partnered with just really good people, and I have a great bar director and bar manager that have come from other establishments, in New York. So again, I'm not coming up with these recipes. I come up with a lot of concepts and ideas, but I'm not a bartender, So we have professionals that work in bartending that do really great non-alc, but they're also artists and craftsmen who, believe in the vision I have, which is a more elevated premium non-alcoholic beverage program. We don't serve mocktails at Soft Bar because we're not making fun of anything. We all start very intentional, and soft cocktail is a terminology that's used very widely in Europe. And soft bar, soft drink, that terminology, soft cocktail, is how I got to my name. It was something that I thought was no one really using that much here in the US, but it's something we all hard alcohol, hard drinks, hard this. And I was thinking, I don't love the word mocktail. I always felt like it just kind of meant an overpriced sugary drink. So we really wanted to redefine that experience, and soft cocktail, soft drink, soft bar. There was that connection to that. So yeah, I mean, the drink creation's really been up to my bartending team and my bar managers. And, we've been working on these ideas for over a year. So a lot of what we're serving in soft bar right now, I've been R&Ding with the team since last fall. But we have seasonal drinks, things that are more appropriate as the weather gets colder, different ingredients that are, more prevalent, let's say in colder or warmer months. We're doing collaborations with different companies and brands. For example, Outshine is a fruit blend bar. You might see them at Whole Foods, Walmart, Trader Joe's, across the board. It's a premium fruit blend bar. We're all used to like a popsicle, but it's like a step up. But we have not a mocktail. We have a soft cocktail that is basically garnished with this really delicious fruit blend bar that we sprinkle with our functional ingredients. So a lot of our drinks actually are more than just a non-alcoholic beverage. They actually have healthy therapeutic supplements that are added in. So vitamins, electrolytes, protein, collagen, mushroom ingredients, not psychedelic mushrooms, but healthy mushrooms that you can buy over the counter. But a lot of people that are taking these supplements take them in their apartments in the morning, or they have a drink or something. But we wanted to include this kind of functional experience in an on-premise experience where you could come in, sit down, and let's say you have a big meeting in an hour. Tell us, I have a big meeting. I need focus and calm. We have our, soft bar beverages that, yes, it's non-alc, but it's going to help you feel calmer and more focused.
So taking into account the seasons, right? What is your favorite item? I guess like drink to consume during the summer months, during like the warmer weather months, and like the colder weather months, like the fall, like we are in now, or in the winter.
I mean, summertime, just something that's light, refreshing, and kind of, as we say in the industry, sessionable. Something you can sip on and not feel bloated or crappy. So it ranges in the summer. I mean, we have a non-alcoholic lover boy. It's actually right above my head right there.
Yeah.
That's 10, it's 10 calories, it's zero sugar. So it's very light and refreshing. It has good flavor. That's probably one of my favorites over the summer. Um, we have some other alternative like coffee options that I like because I don't drink coffee. So it just depends on kind of the time of day. But, in the summer, I like Loverboy non-alc. I also like we have a few options. I don't have the exact names in front of me, but they would probably look to you, someone who goes to a bar, as like an Aperol Spritz. We don't call it that, but we have espresso martini. We don't call it that, but that's kind of what it is. So yeah, it just depends on, how I'm feeling that day. But yeah.
Very nice. So obviously the space is pretty large. I know something you're looking to do is hold some events there. People can come in and potentially rent out the space. So talk to us a little bit more about just like the openness, the open concept, so to say, of that area where people could do events.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you ask any restaurant or bar owner across any city in any major city in the US, they're going to tell you 20 to 30% of their revenue is coming from private events or corporate events. It's how restaurants actually survive because it's more guaranteed revenue. And versus like a coffee shop that just is open from 10 to 12, you're not sure who's coming in. But if you've got a private event coming in from 10 to 12, you know exactly who's coming and how much they're spending. So a lot of restaurants try to position themselves to be a place that you could have private events and private parties. So obviously we're going to be doing that at Soft Bar, but I wanted to take it a step further where in our event, our whole space is open for the day. Like you can come sit there anywhere you want, but we have an area in the back that is flexible to be an event space. It also has a supporting uh, like bar. There's another little bar in the event area that we are highlighting and featuring products and brands. So if you guys wanted to come in and host an event, we could, specifically set up that area for you and whatever you want to do. So there's private event, there's public event. We have corporations that are wanting to have, get-togethers there. We have authors who've written books that want to do a book launch. We have fashion brands that want to do fun kind of influencer meetups. We have run clubs that are coming through. We have Pilates studios. We have yoga groups. We have sober fellowship groups. Any, think about it, like the day and ages of like launching a skincare product and then hosting an open bar to celebrate that
Yeah.
skincare, alcohol, like
Nice.
people are becoming, I think, more mindful about how you're launching and activating new products or services. If you're Google, are you taking your 100 employees out to an open bar these days? Probably not. You're probably doing something during the day, like a yoga thing or like a sweet green,
Yeah.
because corporate responsibility is also important. I've been fired from a job because of my drinking. We all know someone who probably isn't honest about it, but has probably been fired from their job because of their drinking or partying. So I think even more, it's important to have a space that is still elevated, still has a great feeling and experience, but the drinks that we serve are actually more appropriate for whatever that event might be. So, like I said, health, wellness, fitness, fashion, art, culture,
Yeah.
music. You don't necessarily always want to have an open bar for that stuff. You want to have mindful drinks that make you feel good and are connective and also very elevated and all that. So, yeah, events is a huge part of this. And obviously people love, the beautiful space that we have. So regardless of the fact that if you want non-alc or not, it's just a cool space to have something. But if you're wanting alcohol, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to help you out.
So, Carl, you're an entrepreneur, you're a go-getter, you're always looking ahead at what's the next thing. I know it just opened the first space, but if everything worked out ideally, would you like to expand, get some additional locations throughout the country? And what particular cities might be of interest for you?
Yeah, I mean, let's don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. We got to stand up this first location the right way.
Yep.
Certainly because of some of my platform, there is if I wasn't on a reality show and started this business, you probably wouldn't be asking me that question.
Right.
But because of the reach and the platform, and I've been sharing my story publicly on TV for 10 years, there's a lot of people in many, many, many other cities that are wanting to experience something like we have at Soft Bar. But we got to go about it the right way. At the end of the day, it's a business and these things cost money. So I got to prove that Brooklyn works.
Yeah.
So far we've had success, but there's a lot of naysayers. There's a lot of people that don't think it works. And, I think we're still in this kind of newer age of kind of building this concept and help allowing people to understand it because people don't get it still. They're like, I don't understand. Why would you have a bar that doesn't serve alcohol? And I tell them almost 50% of the US population doesn't drink alcohol. There's a recent study. And then adding on top of that, the US Surgeon General, which if you have ever seen a pack of cigarettes in the US, there's a huge label on the side from the US Surgeon General, right? The same thing is now being explained about alcohol. Alcohol, 7 or 8 different types of cancer are linked to alcohol usage. One drink a day can lead to cancer.
Well,
So
Gen Z is not drinking or smoking anymore. I mean, they're doing like the vapes and stuff like
they
that.
bathe, but yeah, they're
But
not.
when it comes to drinking, I have younger cousins, right? And that generation that's kind of in between Nick and I, because we're the early 90s. I mean, they when you present alcohol to them, they scoff at it. So I just think everything changes periodically, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've said this a bunch in some other interviews. I mean, this it may not be a great example, but like cars when they were invented did not come with seatbelts originally.
Yeah.
So I think as we learn over time, safety and just people adapt and people evolve. I mean, alcohol is a very interesting thing here in the US. I mean, it's that there's a lot of lack of transparency, even on like I dare you guys to pick up a bottle of wine tonight and tell me how many calories are in that bottle of wine. It's not going to tell you because they don't have to put it on the label. Alcohol is
I
like an
don't
archaic, very old school because it goes back to prohibition and you have all of these weird laws to protect the families who own all the alcohol businesses. I mean, alcohol is basically owned by like 10 families in the US. Everything else after that is like it doesn't matter, but there's like these massive companies. So it's so ingrained in our society. But I think people over time, as information about our health and wellness is more prevalent, we all are wearing smartwatches and Neuro rings and Aura rings and Whoops. We know our sleep patterns better. We understand our health and wellness better because of the technology. The
know.
advent of more information, TikTok, social media, people are sharing more of this success of not drinking and seeing people happier and healthier without alcohol. I think all of these things are playing into this shift of consumption. And now I'm 40. I was born in 1985, and we pregame the pregame. I'm a millennial. You wake up at 7, take an Adderall, drink all day, do it all over again. Like that's who we were. But obviously that has shifted a lot. And friends of mine that aren't alcoholic have even shifted their drinking since they've gotten older. So I think it's interesting. This shift is happening. I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it's just the tip of the iceberg. But it's a very crazy time because a lot of bars and restaurants, that's how you make money operating because you basically break even on food costs, you break even on your labor, but alcohol margin is where people make money. So the nightclubs and these places that sold a lot of alcohol are having to really reconfigure how they make their money.
Yeah. Well, this all sounds like great news for you. I don't drink, so this is a it's a very great concept you're launching here. But like you mentioned, you have a great platform, so it helps you out. The show, Summer House, bigger than ever. What was it like for you to have that day at Citi Field where they were kind of honoring you? I mean, that was pretty crazy to have being in front of a baseball stadium for the Mets that they invited you out there for a game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with Bravo, we're very lucky. We get invited to some interesting stuff locally. I'm a huge sports fan, but yeah, I mean, I you get invited to cool stuff sometimes being a part of the Bravo world, and it's always exciting that people invite you to places, and I can't always go to everything, but I'm very grateful when people do invite me to stuff. So that was cool.
Yeah, Citi Field, very nice ballpark. Unfortunately for me and Joe, we got there, we got stuck in so much traffic. Probably similar to when you got to the Hamptons, the car ride. What's like the worst car ride you ever had, time-wise, heading out to the Hamptons?
Good question. Anytime on like July 4th, if you leave
Oh,
that July 4th weekend usually is like the roughest because everybody's trying to get out east. If you leave anytime after 11 a.m. on a Friday, you're screwed. Um, I've had 5-hour drives out there before.
oh,
Now,
Yeah.
I've had this past summer, we had one of the first weekends we went out. It was, I want to say at least four and a half,
oof.
which is rough. It should take, I'm in Brooklyn, right by the Midtown Tunnel. It should take door to door to Southampton no more than 2 hours. Sometimes it's 2 hours and 15, sometimes it's 2:20. But if you're going all the way out to Montauk, now we're talking even another hour, hour and a half
Yep.
minimum. So it just
Yeah.
depends on exactly where you're going in the Hamptons. But we're fortunate over the last 9 seasons of Summer House, we've been filming in the Southampton area, not in the
I don't know
Montauk,
that.
which is another hour at least
Oh,
from Southampton.
So when it comes to your reality TV career, now Nick and I were huge fans of reality TV in general. As you know, we get a lot of really great guests from other types of programming, Big Brother, Amazing Race, The Challenge, right? But we think you would be particularly a great fit for maybe a celebrity Big Brother appearance. They've done the show a couple of times. Usually it's kind of not the summer version of it. Usually it's the off-season version of it. Usually in like the winter coming out of the winter into the spring. But it's a little more than physical comps. There's a social component to it. There's a strategy component. Obviously, when it comes to your acumen, when it comes to your background, we think you would be a great fit for the show. But in terms of reality TV, what else is out there that you would consider doing or that you would like to do?
Um, I mean, I think, I love Summer House. I want to keep doing Summer House as long as they want me to keep doing it. I'm not a big consumer of other reality TV, to be completely honest. When you're kind of in this world, it's very overwhelming, like just the amount of stuff you get, and you sometimes also know how the sausage is made a little bit, and
Hmm.
meaning just somehow all of it is, and it almost brings you back to your own experiences of it. I am a fan of some of our other Bravo shows for sure. I love a lot of my Bravo friends, but it's not something I like wake up every day and go, I want to be on this, I want to be on that. I would certainly entertain some. I mean, it would be cool to be on The Traders. It would be cool to be on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh,
Um, those are probably the
I
two
think
that,
I'd see you being really, really good on Dancing with the
you got the
Stars. My mom
length
and
as,
grandma
as an
watch it. Yeah.
athlete.
I mean,
Yeah.
I do like to dance. I mean, some people have opinions about how people dance. I don't know if I'm good or bad. I just know I like to dance. Um, I can have some fun with it, kind of silly dancing and stuff, but the ballroom and that like professional world is not something I don't come from any of that, but I know they have all the sorts of training, but that's obviously an iconic kind of fun competitive show for celebrities and people. I mean, I would never be on their radar for that, but outside of that, someone came up to me the other day and said I'd be good on Special Forces, which is another show that,
Yeah, new seasons
um,
has
Yeah.
started last night. A bunch of Bravo people on that, so that could be in the realm of
yes,
possibility.
I saw some Bravo folks on that. That looks really, really hard
Oh,
and
it is.
very challenging. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, I've always joked around like I feel like we should do some sort of crossover with Below Deck on Bravo, where maybe we do a trip on one of the
Yeah,
yachts.
be
The
pretty
boat
cool.
comes into one of the ports out there in the Hamptons.
Yeah,
We
picks us
drive out
up.
to
We
Picks us up
Montauk
in
and
Sag Harbor, and then
yeah.
Yeah, and then we go around, the island and party and maybe do whatever. I always thought that would be a fun crossover. But no, I mean, what's so cool about Summer House and why I'm so like I love what we do is it's just real. It's authentic. There's no BS. Yes, there's drama, but like what you guys have seen over the last 10 years or 9 years is
it's real.
like our real life. Like there's no editing. That's like I don't that's who I am. Like everything on that show is me. Sure, there's things that are, more heightened because of all the different words and people saying, and of course it's an entertaining program. But I'm proud of what we've done at Summer House and why I love doing it is because you can't be fake. It's the cameras in the house, you're being filmed 24/7. There's no way to script yourself or be fake there. Everything you see is what it is. And there's actually a lot of stuff that's not shown because there's so much shit that happens because of how much is being filmed.
24/7. That camera's
But I
rolling.
love that about our show, and it's very different than every other Bravo show. Other Bravo shows don't have 24/7 surveillance
Right.
except for Below Deck.
Yeah. So
All
maybe
the other shows,
that
they
could
go
be
to a
the
restaurant.
yeah, that could be the crossover you're looking for though.
That'd be fun,
But
So,
I think you do
you
need to get a Housewives of New York City to come to Softbar though to film. I mean
yeah,
that's an easy crossover.
that'd be fun. I've mentioned that to just some of my other Bravo friends. I mean, of course, it'd be such a cool crossover to see, whatever, Real Housewives of New York or the next gen New York
Yeah.
City, the younger group, or, even just having some event with another Bravo person there would be kind of a full circle moment. But not the end all be all. I mean, I won't hurt my feelings if they don't want to film there. Obviously, it'd be cool if they do. But I'm proud of what we built, and I really want to stand this business up on its own. Obviously, Bravo's been incredibly supportive. It's been awesome, but can't rely just solely on Bravo. So we're going to hopefully host other things there. We've actually had requests. People have wanted to shoot other films and TV shows
Mm,
at Soft
there we
Bar.
go.
We have an artist who wants to make a music video there. We have tons of different opportunities to do stuff with filming there. So we're open always, but no one yet has officially asked about filming there. So I would love to do it, but we'll see when it
Fingers
happens.
crossed. You know what they should do a celebrity summer house, and they could all start off at Soft Bar and drive out there together. And we just want to watch them in the car ride to suffering,
Yeah,
and
I was gonna say
that
put a
is it.
camera on the dashboard.
Yeah, watch the
3 hours and
Stargates.
42 minutes in, and you're still stuck
People don't
somewhere in the
realize
middle of Long Island.
they show you getting in the car, and then you're there at the house. So let's see everybody in the traffic.
Yeah, it's not that they need to do a better job of showing how it feels, like the feeling of the whole experience. I mean, the car rides are really what I think bond
Yeah.
a lot of us,
Yeah.
and over the years, to and from a lot of time in the car, you really get to know someone really well. So a lot of our friendships as a
Well,
result of being a part of this have
yeah.
actually been strengthened by the car rides and a lot of what you don't see
Hmm.
going to and from.
Do you prefer to drive or you prefer to be a passenger?
I prefer to drive. I like being in control. I also like to think I'm a pretty good driver. No
Yeah.
offense to some of my friends, but
You want to be
you
safe
know,
and you trust yourself the most.
and being sober, not drinking, I'm always kind of I offer to be the designated driver a lot because for me too, like you don't know, I'm in control. I don't have to rely on someone else. I trust that I've got my wits about me and going to take care of driving everybody safely and
Yeah.
responsibly. So I do like driving out there. Certainly, I've gotten in the passenger seat some days because I just don't want to, and others people want to. But yeah, I don't. I like driving. It's always been. It's nice to be able to drive and people can rely on you and trust you. Because from where I've come from over the last 5 years, almost building trust with people, and people didn't always believe that I'd show up on time, or people didn't always think that I could be relied upon. But it's taken time to build that back up. But now, kind of being known as like the responsible dad, I like that. It's not like a derogatory thing at all. Like I'm like
Yeah.
that's like the most endearing thing someone can probably say to me now is like you're a dad and like you're responsible. And I'm like, I love that.
Yeah, personal growth for sure. Last thing for us, for me here, for sure the answer kind of have given it already, but in your life or your career, what has been your you know I'm right moment? What I mean by that, a time or place where you wanted to pursue something, you asked somebody for advice. They said, Carl, sounds like a bad idea. And you were like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. And in the end, you will see why it is that I'm right about this.
Um, I mean, just because it just came to mind, but I had a friend of mine that said don't do Summer House
Wow.
way back in 2016 is when the first season started filming. And I told a few close friends of mine, and I was very, Kyle and I were friends. And I went to Syracuse University. My major in college was TV and film. So I had been comfortable in front of cameras. I did a lot of, filming in college. I acted, I modeled. We did shows and film videos. I was always in that world. So when this opportunity came about, Kyle and I were friends. We partied a lot. We had good times. So I wasn't thinking anything more than this seems like a really cool thing. I'm already going to be doing that anyway. So I'd already kind of like said I'm doing it, but then was asking friends what they thought. And one of my friends who I'm still very close with, and we laugh about it a lot now, because he basically was like, "Hey brother, I don't think you should do this." And then I like was like, "I'm already doing it." So it doesn't matter. But I think over time, the friends that were maybe not as supportive have now really been my biggest supporters because they see it makes, I'm very passionate. I like being in this world. They knew that anybody who really knows me, I know you guys don't know me that well other than watching on TV, but anybody that knew me from my high school days to my college days is not surprised that I'm doing what I'm doing because I was, the high school superlative, or even I think my eighth grade superlative was most likely to be on TV or most likely to, because I just had like a knack for that kind of world a little bit. And I went to school to study TV and film. And Syracuse University is known for their Newhouse school, which is why I went to Syracuse. So since I was a senior in high school, I was doing videos for the high school teams. Like we had a local video thing in school where we would make videos of the soccer team, or we do funny sketches, or there's big school oriented TV filming things. I was a part of that. So yeah, it's not a surprise, I think, to anybody that knows me really well that I'm doing what I'm doing. I think it's a surprise to see how it's grown and picked up. We're not the biggest show. I don't consider myself anybody special at all, but the Bravo world and the reality world has gotten very popular, and we're just really lucky to be a part of a great network that has given us the opportunity.
Yeah. You've
But
come a long way from your days working on Criminal Minds.
yep, long, long, long time ago. But it's funny, I still keep in touch with some people from Criminal Minds because they've now seen me on TV. But none of them are really surprised because, funny enough, I auditioned and was in a couple episodes of Criminal Minds behind the scenes, and I wasn't like a main player, but
Yeah.
the guy in the elevator pushing a button, or random guy walking by in the background. So that's been something since I graduated from college was top of mind. But how I got here is a little bit unique, so it's been a cool journey.
From those brutal weathers in Syracuse, making a really comfortable, nice living for yourself, being a part of the show, being a part of those great experiences during the summer all the way out on Long Island. What makes it even better is that, again, based on your story, which includes a lot, I'm sure there have been people who have stuck with you through thick and thin, and that's very rewarding now, especially as you continue with this amazing business that you have. Now, personally, my father lives in Manhattan. He's lived in Manhattan his whole life. I'm always driving around Manhattan. I'm always driving around Brooklyn. So, when would, now that we've had you on the show twice, now Nick and I would love to get the opportunity to get to know you better. So, when would be a good opportunity for him and I to come by, reach out in advance,
Open
stop
7 days
by,
a week. We can go
open
whatever we
7 days
want.
a week, come get a drink, the non-alcoholic drinks that are right up our alley. We can sit down, have a nice, relaxing time with each other, hang out in person for a little bit. And I'm a little more of the sociable person, right? So maybe sometime next summer, if you're out on Long Island, I have family and friends out on Long Island. I would love to get together,
Too much
but
traffic.
for no, no. Yeah, I wouldn't bring you. But to Brooklyn, I'll bring you. I'll drive it from Staten
Ah,
Island. We'll come to Brooklyn. So just when would be, again, 7 days a week, when would be a good time to meet up with you and kind of get to know you a little bit better in person, Carl?
Yeah, just shoot me. I mean, let me know what you guys I have in mind. I've never been asked out on a friend date on a podcast before.
It's good. It's a
don't,
first.
don't, Carl,
First time
So
for
don't say
everything.
anything. We don't want fans mobbing you there, so we'll
no,
No,
I
keep
mean,
it
no,
out
I
of
it's
this.
not.
we, I launched a very public business in the public eye. I'm there a fair amount. I'm not like standing in front of soft bar every single day waving at everybody like one of those
No.
auto dealership floaty things.
Come
How
on
often,
in.
how many days a week do you go in? Do you
I'm
go every
there
single
pretty
day?
much. I
Every
work.
day?
Yeah, I mean, it's my company, it's my business. I have an office there. I have a
Oh,
team
nice.
there, but I'm not there every hour of every day. But
Of
Sure.
I'm
course not.
generally in and out of there every day. I mean, right
Okay.
now for this podcast, I'm at my apartment in my office here. But yeah, I mean, if there's times or days that you guys are thinking you're coming in, let me know. I'd be happy to try and arrange, to be there that time or whatever it might be. But my advice would just come on in, come whenever you can. Don't need to
Sounds like a
schedule
plan.
anything. Just
Very
show
good.
up. Come as you are. There's really
Yeah.
no.
So, Carl, for everyone out there watching, our audience under the Herd Out Media umbrella, give everybody the details, location, address, when it's opening and whatnot. As far
Yeah.
as what
So
part of the day it's open and closing. We know it's open now as of this recording.
yeah, I mean, we're open in the morning for coffee. So 7 a.m. If on your morning commute, walking by, or you work from home and want to bring your computer, but we're open at 7 every single day. So 7 days a week, open at 7. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we close a little bit earlier. We close at 7 p.m. However, those nights we are doing events after 7. So we'll be socializing those types of events. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we are open from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. So tonight we are open to 11. We have We're on Resi if you want to make a reservation and reserve a table just to guarantee that you have a spot. We've been inundated with Resi, which has been amazing. Um, but yeah, I mean, we're located on Banker Street on the corner of Wythe Avenue in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. Most people are familiar with Williamsburg, Brooklyn. We are right on the line. It's literally where Williamsburg ends is where Greenpoint begins. My business is right. Our backyard is technically Williamsburg, but our front yard is Greenpoint.
It's a
Um,
good way to put it.
so we have a lot of really cool neighbors, whether it's Brooklyn Brewery, Cafe Pana,
Yeah.
the Rule of Thirds, the wellness and fitness stuff I mentioned earlier. There's also Suit Supply and Kith right down the street. There's Pura Vida Miami, which is a very popular cafe concept with many locations in Manhattan, but now their second or their first one in Brooklyn. There's Other Ship, which is a bath and sauna that's very popular. So this is all right where we're located in Greenpoint. So yeah, 200 Banker Street. We're open right now. Come, as we say, come as you are. You don't need to be sober to come to Soft Bar. We don't serve alcohol. We want you to come however you want to come, but we're going to serve you an amazing, non-alcoholic beverage that's going to make you feel good or going to help your day. And you'll be able to spread out and sit down and either be with yourself or be with a friend or use it out however you please. It's really up to you with how you want to utilize your time in the space. There's no real requirement. It's not an AA meeting at all. I love my AA friends and my fellows, but we wanted to create something that everybody was comfortable going. And there's no exclusiveness to it. It's all inclusive. You could be a sober for 10 seconds and we're going to welcome you into Soft Bar.
Great, Carl, and we appreciate you giving us some time. Obviously, we usually give our guests last words, but I think that was pretty solid there. We want to wish you the
So
best moving forward here with everything, with the business and everything else. Thank you again for once again coming back on our podcast. And that's going to do it here for this episode of You Know 'Em Right. For our very special guests, Carl Radke and my co-host Joe Calabrese. I'm Nick Durst, and this has been You Know I'm Right.